let's use this time to tell people who are thinking about building, and I don't care if you're going to build a barn with us. I hope you do. But whether you're just thinking about building on your own land, you show up, because there is a point in the system where we call you up to go out and inspect it, and at that point, you're not just going out there blind either. We've got a stake where the home location is going to be. You've got a general idea of the plans of the home and how big the pad's going to be and the soils and things like that. So like walk people through that process. Like when you pull up to raw dirt, and you can speak from experience here, what are the steps that you're going through to kind of get that idea of what this thing's going to cost on the front end?
Right. So like you said, we have a basic plan. And obviously we need all the details we can get about that house and how big the pad's going to be. If they have soil testing, great. If not, we offer to kind of do a test pit to see kind of soil we're working with, how deep the topsoil is. If it's in a hole, if we have hardwood, like whatever trees, we got to clear it, grade it. What are we actually doing here? And basically we like to have 2 stakes out. Basically we take our transit out, we take some measurements on our cut and fill. And I think on the Barndo side, we're not using dirt on site anymore, we're bringing dirt in. So that's been a huge help as well on your side of things. And basically we go from there.
For a second, because I don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
Dirt. Somebody comes to the table, they got 20 acres of land, and they're like, why do you need to bring in dirt? You said it. How deep's the topsoil? So just talk about that, like trying to stabilize that pad where this massive home's going to sit, with thousands of pounds of material on top of it.
Yeah, well, first you want to strip the topsoil and get down a good red clay, and sometimes you hit rock. I mean, you just don't know. There's so many variables in grading that that's why you do the test pits and you do all these extra tests to figure out what kind of soil we're working with. Because we don't want to get in the project and we hit rock and there's no line item, there's no clause in there. But while we don't use dirt on site, we could, if we found some good, if they want to pay or have someone come out, do a lot of test pits around the property and find good dirt. But the way in production side, we have to get in and get out. So we like to bring in dirt, good compactable dirt. We know the compaction rate of it as well. And just kind of gives us a better product as well.
Yeah. And so like you go in and find 2 foot of topsoil. What's the process? Like what are you doing from that point?
Basically, if you have a 60 by 80 pad, you're stripping the whole thing and getting down to good red clay. And that's why I hark on my builders is basically we need to come out and do a test pit to figure out what we're working with to better give you a quote for this. Because normally it's 6 inches, 8 inches, but if we get in the process and it's 2-3 feet of topsoil, okay, you have to count for that to bring that grade back up.
Yeah. Well, and that's where the dirt comes in.
Yeah.
Right. There's several scenarios here where dirt comes into play, but the number one question is, well, why do you need dirt? I don't understand. And look, you shouldn't understand. You're not a builder. You've never done this, or maybe you've done it before, but you don't understand it. And so we're trying to educate you as well. When you go in there and you strip that out, you got to bring in that good compactable dirt to build it back up. You don't just shave it down,
right,
and then start building, below grade. You can't do that. So like you got to bring it back in. Another thing, like. Our standard is we want to do monolithic slabs as often as possible, right? Sometimes that takes a lot of cut. The other times, you got elevation changes where maybe that's not even possible, or we have to bring in a bunch of dirt to build up a substantially larger pad than needed so that you can have some kind of a yard around it, or we go in and we end up doing, a stem wall. Right. And then you got to bring in dirt to fill in.
Yeah. There's so many variables. I mean, you said it perfectly. I mean, we like to do a slab on your scenario. We have stepped into some stem walls. So it's just so many variables. And the more information you can have on that plan, the site visit is a really key to our success, trying to get in and get out and more information.
Yep. So beyond pad, right? You roll up on the job. You're not there just to make us a pad out in the middle of the field. What are some other things that are going into that?
Man, it could be overhead power lines. Can I get machines in here? If we're going into a field, is there a creek we have to get over? Do we have to put a concrete? How are we going to get trucks in and out of here?
Yep.
and basically looking at, can we build here? I mean, like you said, is it in a hole? They're on a budget. Okay. If they have like 20 acres of land, can we move the house somewhere in a better location that they did not think about?
Right.
Um, a pond, too close to a pond, or they have the water table isn't good in a flood zone. They just don't know. You have, like you said, educate these clients. Hey, this might not be a good idea. We might need to move it.
Which is, again, points back to the value of onboard. Because when you onboard, it's not just like you're paying a deposit. For us, you're buying a service that says, whether you build with us or not, we're going to give you all the basic information so that you can have success with whatever way you choose to proceed. And we ask for a lot of documentation, right? And that comes from experience. But surveys are very, very important, and like getting those surveys, we can see a lot of things on the survey, right? We could see if they're in a 100-year floodplain, right? We could see if they're in other floodplains. We can also see, you're talking about streams on property or something. If it's delineated, meaning it shows up on the map, we have to create an impoundment to go across it.
Yeah.
And now you got EPA regulations. You got all kinds of things that factor into working the dirt to set the tone to build the home.